Hi, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here joining me for another video with this Sunprints journal. We are going today to be sewing in the signature, and we're going to make a couple of ephemera pieces to put into the journal. So you're going to need an some sort of pokey tool. I opted to not use the take your pick tool because it is pretty wide, so you want something a little thinner. You can use a jewelry awl, a needle. If you have a thicker needle, you can do that, and you'll need some sort of thread, and I have these jumbo paper clips that I'm using, so you can use binder clips, what have you. So the first thing we need to do, we're going to do a five pamphlet stitch instead of a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. We're going to do a 5-hole. So, and the reason I wanted to do a 5-hole, I typically do a 3-hole, but there's some smaller components in here that I want to really not have to wobble around. So to do a 5-hole, first off, let's measure our thread and get all that ready. So typically you'll just do a measurement of 3 times the length of the spine. So there's 1, 2, 3 approximately. Reach across, grab my scissors. Okay, so there's our thread. We're going to go ahead and thread the needle. I usually just bend it over the needle, smush it in half, and then feed that through. Okay. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is secure all these pages so they're in place where I want them. Let's see, do we need to move you up a little bit so you're not so close? Okay. So we'll take our paper clips. Put these on. I use 4, so I use 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Okay, so I eyeball everything. I don't measure it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of eyeball my center, where my center is, and poke a hole all the way through the spine. Then about a 1/2 inch down from the top and a 1/2 inch down from the bottom, approximately. Okay, and then you're going to want to go, so we've got the center, we've got the top and the bottom. You're going to want to find your center point between the center and the top and poke a hole there. And then I'm going to poke one in the center between this center hole and this hole here, which looks like it's probably about there. Okay, those are all in, and we'll leave these clips in until we have the thread have it sewn. So the first thing we're going to do is in the center hole here, we're going to go in and come out the back with your needle and thread, and you're going to want to keep some of the tail out for tying. Okay, then you're going to come back in through this hole you made here and in through the center spine here. So you'll have this thread right here in this section, and then you're going to come out the bottom hole. Okay, and you're going to try to make this tight. You can tighten it as it goes when we're all done, but you just want to make sure that you have a pretty tight string. And now you're going to go back in this hole here in between the center and the bottom and come out. And try not to sew into your threads. You want all of these pieces separated. Okay. Now that you're in here, you're going to skip the center hole and go up to this hole. that's between the center and the top. Make sure that's good. And then we're going to go into this top hole, come out the center there, and then you're going to go back in this hole here, and again try not to go into the thread, because it'll be hard to tighten if you do. And then you're going to come back in through this center here. I'm going to kind of pull my string to tighten it. You're going to go back in the center. It was going a little smooth. I usually have a problem with a hole trying to get it in, so. If you're having problems, sometimes I just stick it through just to make sure it's all lined up again, and then go back through that. And this is good because you can see sometimes I'm just trying to get it. Sometimes it doesn't get to that hole. It'll get through several layers and then it will come on up on the side of the pages. So there we go. Okay, pull that through. Now we can go ahead and remove these paper clips. And what we're going to want to do, see, we have a string on this side. We need a string over on the other side here, because we're going to tighten and do some tying. We're going to tie knots. Now commonly people will use wax thread for this. I'm just using whatever I have. I have not actually ever used wax thread. So we're going to tighten it, because that center is kind of loose. So you just got to pull on the ends in the back. That's getting tighter. Let's see how. Pretty tight. Still feels a little loose to me, so I'm going to tighten a little more back here. This will keep, if it's nice and tight, will keep your, those are very tight. Those are good. Those are tight. So this should be good, and this feels like it's pretty tight. So we're going to go ahead and tie a double knot. And I'm just going to leave these hanging for now. Okay, so there, I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff away. And then we're going to get started on some ephemera here in a minute. So now that that's in, I'm just going to push it down. Then I'm going to go in here and flip pages just to make sure they're bending nice. This way. Okay. I didn't get my pages centered very well in here, but they're in the cover. That's totally fine. Okay, so now we can make some ephemeras. Move that. So I have some stuff prepped here. We are going to make, so I'm going to show you this other journal that I'm working in as we're getting the ephemera. We're going to make one of these paper clip tag holders. And I'm probably going to want another piece of ephemera here. I just haven't decided. So we're going to make one of these to put in the journal. So you'll need a piece that's 2 inches by 8.5 of whatever paper you're using. And then you're going to score at 1 inch and at 2.5. So we're going to score at 1 inch at one end and 2.5 at the other is what we're going to end up doing, and you probably can't see that, so I'll flip that around. So we're going to score this at 1 inch. And then we're going to flip it around and score it at 2.5. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is taper the top of this so that it can fit our paper clip. Just going to get my scissors out because we want this to fold over. I'm going to go ahead and fold it on the top there. We want this to fold over the paper clip. So I just kind of go in where the fold is and kind of, and you might have to do some additional trimming if you don't get it to where it can go all the way down. Close. I need to trim this just a little bit more. So if you want this, because the front is going to be decorated, if you want the paper clip to go this way on the page, like this, you need the short end facing that way. If you want the paper clip to go the opposite way, then you need to flip it and the short end goes that way. So we're gonna do it this way. See how that looks. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. Center my clip and get that glued down. My desk is a mess right now. We've been stuck in the approximately mid 80s for a few weeks and we're wearing down, which doesn't sound bad to some, but in Fairbanks, Alaska, it's hard when you come out of cold. Okay, so there we go. We've got our paper clip glued and attached, and now we're going to go ahead and use that for reference. We're going to flip this up. Normally you would fold to the bump or the mountain, as some people call it, but you're going to actually flip this up this way. And we're going to go ahead and use my scissors. Crease that down, and then we're going to go ahead and oh, I wanted to stamp on it, so we're going to do a tone-on-tone stamping, which I probably should have done before I put the paper clip in, but that's all right. apologize if you hear my dog. She has dementia and she always thinks she's stuck. There you go. Okay, we're going to use gray granite. This is gray granite paper. I'm just going to grab a little piece here and do some tone-on-tone stamping with this splatter that comes in the sun. The stamp set is called, again, Nature's Print, so it's a splatter here. So we're going to go ahead and stamp off and just kind of rotate it, give it a fun pattern. Let's see, we'll do that because we don't need it all the way down, and then we're going to do the front of this. There we go. Okay, so we're done stamping on that. Clean off my stamp. Then we're going to go ahead and glue that down. Just glue on either side and fold it up and just glue it down. Go. Okay, there's a basis for your paper clip for your page. That's a tag holder. Okay, so now the next thing we need, well, these are all my scraps and some die cutting I did of the foliage that's in there and the stamp set and the dies. I had some of these little strips left, so I thought it would be kind of fun just to add that on there, give it some different texture. Do this little thing here. And break the gray color. Right up to the edge of that pocket. So we'll go ahead and cut that off. Okay. Typically I don't save these, but since I was making some little things, I thought, oh, those would be perfect to save. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do, take a look at my sample here. Okay. I want to do a cutout. So I want to stamp this image and cut it out. See if I can find a scrap piece of white to do that on. Yep, that'll be good. Okay, so I'm going to do that in Starry Sky. And we're going to die cut this out. I'm going to bring in my mini stamp boss machine. I love this thing. I use the heck out of it. So I'm going to use plates 1 and both plates 2 for this. Let me grab out die to cut that out. Line that up. It's kind of dark over there, so let's move this for a moment while I line that up. There's a hole down on the bottom of this die, and you can see where you've stamped the stem while you're trying to line it up, so that you can center it on there to get a good cut. And now I have pieces of washi tape that I use to put down, and I reuse them because sometimes the washi tape is a little bit stickier than I want and it will rip. So I like to just go ahead and tape it down and then keep the tape because that sticky wears off after a while. Now we're going to go ahead and put this through. And when you're using the die cut emboss machine, you need to make sure you stagger the plates. It goes in easier that way. Okay. Alright, so we have our piece here. Excuse me, I gotta help my dog. Okay. Alright. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and glue this. Oop, put this away because I'll lose it. We're going to glue this to the front of this. And what I did with the other one is I just found where I wanted to cut off the stem and just trimmed it off. There we go. Now we can go ahead and glue this. Okay, so there's our paper clip. It's going to go on our page and hold our tag that we're going to make for it here in just a minute. So we can go ahead and I'm going to put that right on this page here. Just a little embellishment, little decoration. Okay, for the tag, I don't have a tag cutter, so I cut my own tags. But the first thing we're going to need to do is back this so that it can be written on. So I'm just going to find a piece of scrap white to put this onto. That'll be good. So I'm going to flip that over. Do with my other glue. Right here. And I'm going to use this big end to spread the glue. Get all the sticky off. Oh, first thing I want to do is I want to stamp splotches on this, and I'm going to actually do it in Night of Navy, but we are going to stamp off. Get my splotch back out. Let's see, because I want some decoration on the back, but I don't want it to be. This paper here on this side has those kind of splotches. So 1, 2, 3. 3 is good. So that's what we're gonna do. Is actually I'll glue this first and then add the splotches. Okay. So glue all over the back so it sticks. Doing our best to get the edges. ahead and just place this down on the paper. I used to have tag dies and I wore them out when I was making journals. Okay, we're gonna need that. So I'm looking hoping for some cool weather soon so we can cool off. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut around it. Just use this piece of paper as my guide. Now I'm not doing any sewing in this journal. This is all going to be, everything that we make is going to be glued. Okay, so all the white edges have been trimmed. Now we've got this, and we're going to go ahead and stamp on this. So we're going to go 1, 2, this has some splotches on it that you can still write over. And then we're going to go ahead and make our tag. So you just cut from an angle, get the angle you want. Cut that down. And then take this and flip it. Now when you cut at an angle, you're going to have a long edge and a short edge. Make sure the long edge is pointing down and the short edge is pointing across. And then cut that. Now you have matching angles. And then I have a tool, because I don't know where my hole punch is. Just a regular hole punch. I have my tool to punch a hole in that. I call this my dog's gym. She comes in here and just climbs on stuff and gets stuck, or she thinks she's stuck. And then we have to go save her. But she loves climbing all over everything in here. Is okay, so I have this crocodile that I use to punch holes. So I'm going to use the 1/8, I think it's the 1/8 inch end, and just center that where you think you need the hole, and punch. Now we're going to take some of this thread, and I believe this is Starry Sky as well. Yeah. And I'm about out of that too. So I'm just going to get kind of the amount that I want for this. Cut it. And then you're going to put this looped end right here through the hole. And then put these two pieces through that loop and pull. Just kind of spread it out, and you've got your tag topper. And now put it in the pocket, and you have this really pretty decoration. So there's one piece of ephemera that we've made for the journal, and I think that's it for this video. We're about at 30 minutes, so the next time we will do some more decorating. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.